Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of In the Gallery with Laura Ali. I am your host, Laura Ali, and this week we're going to cover a few topics we didn't finish in the last video. There were a few things I definitely wanted to talk about, and just to break it up and not have it be an hour and a half video, I decided to end that one and then just start with this one. So today I wanted to get into, and I'm gonna do my little transition, because we're doing it this week, and I wanted to get into really the case of Justin Harris Ross. Let me just do my little share because otherwise you guys know me. All right, so this is him, right? This is Justin Harris Ross. This is his son Cooper and his ex-wife. Um, this happened we could see back in 2014, this happened. And I remember this case happening because it was one of those ones where I think it was the first time I've come across a case where the where something like this happened, where the father potentially, well, we know now, but at the time we weren't sure. And I remember being very fascinated in this case because you weren't sure. You really didn't know. Did he do it intentionally? Was it an accident? Was it um was he just distracted? Was he going through some stuff at the time and he thought that this could be an easy out for him. So all these things were running through my head. As if you guys are familiar with the case, I'm sure you guys had a very similar experience as I did. But as little bits and pieces of evidence started coming out about this case, you started to say, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You were texting and sexting about how you wish you didn't have to live this life, and then you find out that he was into some, like, they're calling it PDF stuff now, and it's just like, wait a minute. I I'm not saying that makes him necessarily a murderer. The jury said that. I don't need to say that. But what I will say is that it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when you are someone that is openly and obviously not happy with your life and you're making those little hints about how you can possibly be done with it. So, um, wait a minute. He was released. I just I just pulled up an article on him and I didn't read it. I was planning on reading it here with you guys. I thought it was an article about the case, but now he didn't serve 12 years. Okay, hold on, let's read this. Okay. Justin Ross Harris accused in son's hot car death released from prison. Why does it say accused instead of convicted? Is this an old article? This might be an old article. No, it's not. It's June 18th of 2024. Justin Ross Harris, who was accused, was released from prison on Sunday. Wait, what? A man accused had been released from prison and transferred to Cobb County Jail, where he would spend the remaining 2 years of his sentence. I do know that he had additional charges because of his inappropriate messages with underage children. Um, so that was a completely separate charge, which kudos on that. So wait a minute. Oh. So one of those convictions was a felony, attempted sexual exploitation of a minor, for which Harris was sentenced to 10 years in prison. That's what I remember. I thought he had like 30 years. The other two are misdemeanors, of which he got 1 year in prison. So he had 12 years. Wait a minute. So he was not convicted of murdering his child. He went to prison for the exploitation of a minor, which he was sentenced to 10 years, plus another two charges, which gave him 12 years. Um, he is maintained. Okay, yeah. I'm learning this right now. Okay, I thought he was convicted. So I take that back. It's seeming like he was not convicted of, wait, he would not be retried on the murder charges. Um, Wait a minute. We need to get to the bottom of this because now I, but in June of 2022, Supreme Court, he did not receive a fair trial because of testimony detailing his extramarital sexual relationship. It should not have been allowed. I said it in the last video. I said it in the last video. It it was not appropriate, I think, to include that because it was separate. It should have been separate. Unless he had communication that explicitly said, I am killing my child because I am unhappy in my life, I don't think him sexting with um people, I think there were like multiple women, not him, exploiting children. I'm just talking about the women he was talking to. I think that was like that's their personal, like that's his personal conversation. Like I said, unless he incriminated himself in some way in those messages, but as far as I understand, it was morally wrong in our opinion. Like it's like, but there was no crime committed by having those sex messages. Um, we're judge right. Okay, he was sent. That's okay. So I must have missed. I'm learning this right now. I must have missed the time, the point in which he was, because I remember him being sentenced. So I missed this 2022 um Georgia Supreme Court ruling. So I guess, did that overturn his conviction? It seemingly so. It seemingly overturned his conviction, which I think they said they're not going to retry him. And why? If you went and got life, why wouldn't you retry him? So he's out? I am shocked by this. So, okay, for anyone who does not know the story, let me tell the story then, because I'm learning this right now myself. So back in June 18th, 2014, it says that Justin Harris Ross was planning on dropping off Cooper at daycare before his shift started at Home Depot. I think he worked in like IT at Home Depot or loss prevention or something like that in Home Depot. They stopped at Chick-fil-A in the morning. I think that was part of their somewhat normal routine. They would get breakfast at Chick-fil-A. And he said that he forgot to drop off Cooper. Whoopsie daisy, he forgot. Um, Cooper, this precious young boy, he died of heat stroke. It's heartbreaking. Oh God. It's just so heartbreaking thinking about this. The level of suffering, like you're literally suffocating to death in there because it's like you can't even breathe. I don't know if you guys have ever, like, just like a really hot day and you maybe exasperated yourself in some way. And it's like just that split second where you're just trying to catch your breath or trying to breathe. And it's so like maybe it's muggy out or whatever it may be. Times that by 10 or 1,000. of what this child was going through. Or even better yet, in the summer, you get into your car, it's a hot summer day, and you close your door and it's like, oh my gosh, it's stifling. You try to roll down your windows or something immediately because it's stifling. Oh my God, I did it again. Okay. I'm gonna show. So this is Cooper. This is Cooper, and this is the father. Um, so back to back to the issue at hand. So basically, it seems like he was convicted. Oh, excuse me. He was indicted on separate charges back in 2016. The lewd photos of two underage girls, and him sending photos of himself to those girls engaging in sexually explicit chats. The DA decided to not try Harris on those charges, which it's like I would throw the book at him. Why are you not trying him on almost on every charge you can try him on? This is what this is one thing I will never understand. Why are we ever uh lax, or why are we not throwing the book at every single child predator? I don't understand that. Like what do they think is going to happen? That he's going to what, miraculously not be a predator anymore, or he he felt really bad about what he did? No, like you preyed on a child, an innocent. A child is the most innocent thing that we can have in our humanity. These- I don't like to let it out too much. Oh God, that was it. It needed to come out. Okay. Whoa. Okay, so a child is the most innocent creature we can have in our society, human being. It is the most innocent human being. That's the simplest way to put it. But yet, we feel like, oh, a grown person has preyed on a child. No big deal. No big deal. Don't try them on it. The justice system is surprisingly lax on child predators for some reason. If someone knows why, please let me know. But it's very odd to me. Um, I think life sentences all around for it. I feel like if you're gonna abuse a child, you have no there's nothing we need from you in society. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. I don't need you in society. I would prefer if you weren't here. Listen, and I'm not wishing harm on anyone. What I am saying is that put them away, put them in the box, put them somewhere, and at least, I'm not saying rehabilitation's the answer, but at least attempt, give me an attempt. You guys don't do any attempt. You're just like, oh, don't even bother. Don't even try him for that. No big deal. Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you. Um, so it seems like the DA decided to not try Harris on those charges, and a court document said they're not going to be pursued. Right. So, okay, so that's where we are with that. Um, and he's out, guys. This is news to me. So I just learned this as I was looking this up. So he got out June 19th of this year. With the irony of it, because I'm over here talking about this other case, and it reminded me of this case, and that's the only reason why I brought it up. And he just got out. They overturned his conviction. He is free. His wife divorced him. I don't know if this showed earlier when I was trying to show it, so I'm gonna show it again. His wife divorced him. This is him, Cooper, and his wife. My heart breaks for her. My heart breaks for her because aside aside from the cheating and all the inappropriate messages with underage with children, um he murdered your child. He murdered your child. So my heart breaks for him. I don't have enough words to say, well, he's free. The conviction was overturned. So technically, I don't know if he's not a murderer anymore because it was overturned. So the child died in his care. That's all you can say. That's heartbreaking. I cannot believe he's free. Why wasn't this more news? First of all, listen, I understand them saying there needs to be a retrial. Well, I guess that's what it was. They didn't want a retrial. Which, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna go in circles because I'm just learning this, and it takes me a while to process something when I just learned something. So I'll leave that there. Um, okay. Moving on into other news. So I briefly brought this up in the last episode, but I wanted to kind of talk about this story a little bit more in detail. And part of the reason why I want to talk about this a little bit more in detail is because of the headline. So, this is the headline: Jury convicts white Florida woman in fatal shooting of her black neighbor. Now, I get that's the headline. I get it's clickbaity. I get why they're doing this. I get all of it. I get it. I get it. I hear you. And AJ Owens, the neighbor, the black neighbor, I don't know why they just can't say neighbor, but the neighbor that was murdered by this woman, um, horrible, senseless, unnecessary, completely unnecessary. There's no reason, none at all. There's no way to justify it. There's no way to try to um make right of it in any way. Like, there, you can't. My thing with it is sometimes I feel like why is it necessary that it's a white and black thing? And maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what it was. But I feel like the headline could have read differently. Even if it was a race-based crime, which I did watch the body cam footage. I did watch the was it the body cam or the interrogation footage? I did watch that. And listen, I'm not going to say that this lady wasn't racist. She very well could have been very racist. I do think she was racist. What I have the issue with in this context is this headline to me seems racist. Like something about it. It's just like maybe it could have just read Florida woman convicted in murdering neighbor. And then when you read into it, then you can learn that, oh, this was a race-based crime, or this was a I don't want you in my neighborhood with your kids crime, because apparently there's a lot of back and forth with them. And we can kind of get into it for those that may not know the story. But honestly, it wasn't the first thing that I even noticed when I wanted to talk about this story. But then when I went to talk about it, I was just like, wait a minute, why does it have to say it like that? But listen, okay, fine. Clickbait, they want you to know. I'm happy that she was convicted. Let's not get that confused at all. I'm very happy she was convicted because she murdered her neighbor for no good reason as well. No good reason. No good reason. And then she tried to lie and say that I think she like attacked her or something, like something crazy, 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 crazy stuff. But I feel like crazy people like this story would not be much of a headline if it were if it were black on black or white on white, right? And I know this is gonna, I'm completely digressing on this, but it is a pain point for me because I almost feel like sometimes they're trying to create like a race war or like some type of, something something. Why is that? The reason why I say that is, um, when was it? I can't remember exactly what month, but earlier this year, you guys may remember, I'm gonna pull it up really quick, and I think I even covered it on here. Um, let's see, Brooklyn shooting neighbor. Okay, so this story you guys may remember. This was a story that was, hold on, I'm trying to get this up. I don't think there's a photo here. Hold on, his name was Jason Pass. Here we go. Here we go. It's trying to play the video. I don't want the video. I just want the photo, guys. Video, images. Okay, I'm not going to show that one because it is graphic. I'll show this. How can I show this without showing everything else? No, they have some graphic photos on here, so I don't want that. Okay, you guys can look it up maybe because it's Jason Pass. Um, he was the person that was in a dispute with his neighbor. This was in Brooklyn. Oh, this happened last year. This happened last year, November. Wow. I thought that was earlier this year. Okay, this happened last year, November. This man shot his neighbor because his music was playing too loud. They've had multiple disputes over this. Now, I can get into a whole thing about this. I think they were both wrong, honestly, I do. It's horrible that the son, because Jason Pass shot the neighbor and his son. It's horrible that this happened and that two people lost their, well, three, because then I think Jason Pass ended up killing himself or I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but he ended up ending his life shortly after that. Um, anyway, I say all that to say it was black on black. And not once in this news story does it say, I'll show you the headline here. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Wait. I don't, it's trying to show the whole video. Let me just show the headline. It's fine. Okay, so this is the headline here. Okay. Downstairs neighbor ID'd after father and son killed in apparent noise dispute. You guys remember this, okay? In Brooklyn, right? Nowhere does it say anyone is black, anyone is this or that, because it's not relevant to the story. Let me pause this because this is the incident. It's not relevant to the story, okay? It's a neighbor dispute. So yes, I do get that this woman is being labeled as racist and she may very well be racist. I'm not saying she's not racist. That's not the point of my story. The point is that neighbors dispute all the time. Why is it that when uh, neighbors of different races dispute, then it becomes a racial issue? You just can't like your neighbor? You just can't dislike your neighbor? I think that is very possible. And people just want to get it all worked up and say it's about race when sometimes you just don't like your neighbor. I'm not excusing, obviously, what this woman did, and I'm very happy she was convicted and put in prison. But my issue is the racial overtone under it. People just need to be nicer to people in general. Okay? I, no one should be extra nice to me because I'm a different skin color than them, and nor should I be extra nice to someone else because they're a different skin color than I am. We should just all treat each other with common decency and respect. So that's my tangent on the headline. That's really how I got there. Was just it was the headline. It just made me feel a kind of way. So, what I thought was interesting though, they initially had charged her, I believe, with manslaughter. And I think there was a little bit of an uproar or just like people upset that she was charged with manslaughter because manslaughter can range. You can get like, I don't know exactly for this charge, so I don't want to misspeak, but I know manslaughter you can get like maybe even 2 years or 3 years, or you can get like 30 years, you know? And I think in this case, um, they push for the maximum 30-year sentence. And let me see, yeah, she faces up to 30 years. Oh, she hasn't been sentenced yet, has she? No. She was convicted. She was convicted. She has not been sentenced yet. Okay, so her sentencing will be happening. This is in Florida. Florida always lets us know what's going on there, which I do appreciate. I think it's helpful. Wait a minute. Interesting. Okay, so that's why, okay, this happened last year and that's why it's all coming out now. I'm trying to see when they say she's going to be sentenced, but I'm not easily finding it. So, we'll move on. But that's an interesting it's an interesting case. It is because I, I think it's just unfortunately an unstable neighbor and it's just really unfortunate. She had kids too. This woman murdered a mother. It's horrible. So, next on the list, I do want to talk about briefly just Sarah Boone. Um, just because Sarah Boone has fascinated me for way too long. I would love to do the interrogation footage. Like, I would love to do the trial, but I'm also exhausted with Sarah. Okay, Sarah Boone has exhausted me because as she probably has exhausted you guys. And if you don't know who Sarah Boone is, I don't know where you've been, but please look her up. She killed her boyfriend like a few years back in a suitcase. It was a huge story. Just the type of murder was a huge story, and then the fact of how everything has played out since then. If you're a true crime fan, you've heard of Sarah Boone and her delays and her excuses and her multiple attorneys and all of the things. So now Sarah is saying she's unprepared due to her clothing options. And I just I just can't. She will find any and every way to delay this case. And at a certain point, when are they just going to say, "You know what? I, I think I would be okay in this one circumstance for us to just throw the book out and just say, forget the justice system. Sarah, you're not getting a fair trial. Go in there and stay in there." Like, that's it. Because Sarah is just like, she will find every loophole to then delay, delay, delay. Because she was a good student. She was a good student, guys. We can't forget that she was such a good student that it's showing. It's showing, Sarah. So, anyway, Sarah Boone, we'll see when this trial actually happens. And and poor George Torres's family. That is her boyfriend who she murdered. Will they ever get justice? I'm sure they will, but when, I should say. So, anyway, I think that will wrap up today. Next in the next one, I definitely want to talk about Rex Heuermann and what's going on there. He actually has some new He has some new charges on him. Going back to 1993, I said it before. He has been haunting me. Any murderer in New York or a serial killer in New York haunts me. There's one right now, guys. Oh my gosh. I need to put this on my list. There's one right now in Austin, Texas, the Ladybird killer. I think the Ladybird Lake killer. And let me tell you this, I just found out about this Ladybird Lake killer in Austin earlier this year. So I went to Austin for the first time ever last December. When I came back, my algorithm on YouTube was like, "Oh, have you heard about the Ladybird killer?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I had just came from Austin. Okay? So it really creeped me out. So I watched the whole documentary on it, and maybe we can do that. We can watch that. But yeah, they're still out there. Whoever this person is still out there. And, you know, talking to my fiance, he's like, "Oh, they're probably associated with the smiley face killers," which he thinks everyone is associated with the smiley face killers. So where does that end? Anyway, um, Rex Huerman, definitely want to talk about that next time, and we'll definitely, hopefully, have some time to talk about the Ladybird killer because what is happening out there in Austin? Um, anyway, that's gonna wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining and hanging out. And I hope that I'm getting better. The audio's working. I'm getting better with my graphics and stuff. So I appreciate you guys bearing with me, and thank you guys so much for hanging out and listening. And I hope to see you guys again soon. All right, bye.